Hello, everybody. You're listening to the Big Chill Podcast. This is episode 705, Week 1 NFL Predictions. Hello, Big Chillians. Welcome back to the Big Chill Podcast. I'm Frank, joined as always with Eddie. Eddie, how's it going?
Yeah, things are going pretty well over here. A little bit of a sad day. I think today marks the end of short weather here. I think
Of
that's
what? Shorts weather.
Yeah. I think I had a good run. First week of September is not terrible for a time to start putting on pants. But yeah, I think I've stretched it pretty much as far as I can go. Maybe I'll get the odd day between now and the end of the month where I can slip some shorts on, but it looks like it's long pants for the rest of the year.
Well, it's not the worst thing. It is still shorts weather here.
Yeah. No, it isn't. It's not that much of it. But when you make that transition back to like always having to wear pants, that's the annoying part. I don't mind wearing pants. Like shorts are definitely for the most part more comfortable, but it's just when you suddenly realize like, oh, that's done. There's no more of that.
Yeah, actually, it's also a sad day here in Tucson, Eddie. I woke up to about 60 or 70 text messages as someone who doesn't really have many friends that text, and opened my emails to see a very sad email come through. It's a very sad day for the city of Tucson. The email is entitled Rink Closure.
Oh boy.
I'll actually read the email in its entirety just because this is how devastating it is. As many of you have noticed, the construction of the casino has started and it is progressing at an extremely fast rate. That being said, Tucson Indoor Sports Center's days are numbered and will be closing its doors effective Thursday, October 31st, 2024. The current hockey leagues will finish a schedule to include playoffs. However, no new seasons will begin. These leagues will be done by end of September, blah, blah. During the month of October, dates will be determined. The contents of the Tucson Indoor Sports Center will be up for sale, which include the rink floor, boards, glass, kitchen supplies, and numerous additional items. We will try to send more updates as information is obtained. Thank you.
Well, I mean, yeah, I can understand why that's sad news for you. Sad news for me too, because I visit just after that closure date, so I miss out on the opportunity to see you play roller hockey again as well, and on my trip to Tucson. But yeah, that I can understand. That must be disappointing. Are you going to buy some stuff, some memorabilia to keep for the rest of your life?
I'm buying the whole rink. I'll put it in my backyard. I'm currently building a dome as we speak.
Look on the bright side. At least it's being replaced by one of your other interests. So hockey out, casino in. You know, it's the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. But you'll be find other hobbies to replace it with.
Yeah, it is sad. There's some silver linings here. The one is, I'm on pace to win every league I play in championship for the final time. So I could go out as a champion in every league there that I play in, and that will be set in stone. So that'll be nice. There is talks that other people are going to actually buy all the things and try and find a new home for the rink. Mostly, I think, because there is a big youth movement here. Like a lot of younger kids play. So I think they kind of want to keep that going. I don't think they really care so much about the 35-year-old plus adults that like to go and drink on a Tuesday and play hockey, but they might set it back up. And there is also rinks in Phoenix. So worst case scenario, I've got a 2-hour drive there and a 2-hour drive back every Tuesday and Thursday night.
That sounds unmanageable, I have to say. There's not a lot of hobbies I have where I could throw in a 4-hour commute on a weekly basis and still be.
Oh, I'm just going to buy an apartment in Phoenix.
That would be the better move. That would, to me, honestly, if you told me you were renting an apartment in Phoenix so that you could go and easily stay on every Tuesday, that would make more sense to me than you driving 2 hours there and back just to play an hour and a half of roller hockey.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see. It is unfortunate because not only is it like really nice to have friends outside of like your other friends kind of thing, but I don't know how I'm going to exercise now. Like I hate most additional exercises that involve, like that type of exercise besides just going to the gym and lifting. So it could be rough for me.
This is the beginning of the end. We always thought 40 was
This
going to
is
be
it.
it. This is
Yeah.
it's 40's coming thick and fast.
I had a bet with a friend of the podcast, Tim, that at age 40 I would still be in great physical shape. And this might be the end.
Little did you know that Tim has invested heavily in a Tucson-based casino group. This is how he's.
Tim has played the ultimate long game.
All those Nvidia and the shares that he bought. Now he's just going to buy up roller hockey rinks across the Arizona area. Even if you move, he'll just change his investment pattern to a new state.
Yeah, I mean, the really disappointing thing is the University of Arizona won the national championship last year. Now they don't have a rink to play on. They're the defending national champs.
That's the bit that surprises me, though, that the university itself doesn't have a rink. I mean, I would have thought you've got so much space.
Yeah, I guess it's just not that much of a need. I don't think they'd have that many people playing on it that aren't on the team. It's not like if you have like a lacrosse field that people aren't just going to be on the field all the time or something like that. So they have talked to them, but I don't think the university is now going to invest $500,000 to put up a rink.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't a good sign too for the health of roller hockey in Tucson, anyway. But
no, Phoenix Coyotes gone. Now the roller hockey rink's gone.
Yeah, it's
Tucson Roadrunners, the minor league team, are gone next year. This is effectively the end of hockey.
The end of hockey in Arizona, which, to be honest with you, it lasted longer than most thought it would.
Yeah.
Right. Do you have any?
I'm gonna work the rest of the week, so
just in mourning. Do you have any happier news before we get on to our NFL Week 1 previews?
How can one have happy news with such sad news? I mean, I guess the real question is, they have to have like a good blowout party. Maybe you can come a few days early, change your flight, and you can come. Maybe it'll be like a full 24 hours of hockey, and they'll just open, like it'll be a hockey lock in.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much I would be useful in that. I haven't skated in at least 12,
you can commentate.
13. I could commentate. I could do a good job of that. Although I don't know all of the real hockey terminology, I have to say. I think I might struggle a little bit in real time. But
that's all right. Half these guys can't play anyway.
Connecting that to a topic we had very early on in our podcast days, when I was back visiting my parents in August, my dad, he was like looking through the shed, and then he pulled out these things. He was like, "Do you want me to keep these, or can I throw these out now?" And he produced my land rollers. And
no way.
Yeah, they were there. And I have to admit, I said, no, keep hold of them for a little while longer, just in case. So who knows? Maybe I fly to Arizona, put the land rollers on, really star the show for the bow out of the rink.
I can't believe the land rollers are still around. I've got to see you on these land rollers.
They looked a little bit worn, not from usage, just from being shoved in the back of a shed for the last probably 15 years, near on that amount. I don't know the last time I actually put them on. I nearly thought about putting them on there and then and giving them a go, especially because it's right by the beach. The big thing about the land rollers, you can use them even on sand. So I could have
unreal. Wow.
I could have gone down the beach.
Land rollers.
I could have been tearing up and down the beach.
Cool.
Oh, people would have been envious. They would have been the windsurfers doing flips and surfers, riding the waves and all that. But everyone would have been focused purely on the guy skating up and down the beach.
And here's this jackass half skating, half like lifting his legs out of sand
Yeah.
like one normally does. Who is this guy that's like slowly kind of rolling but kind of getting stuck in the sand?
Yeah, but on wet sand, I don't know how well they would really work. It has to be
I
said,
think on
but
wet sand it'd be better. Like the more compact sand. Like loose sand, it's got to be useless.
but at least
There's
you
no
don't.
way.
But I think in wet sand, I would just sink. Like
But
because
with
my
super
feet.
dry loose sand, unless you're like fucking Tyreek Hill out there, like flying 30 miles an hour on those things.
You'd be surprised. But I think I do agree with you. It would be tough because where they are. It's relatively flat, loose sand. I think you'd be okay for the most part. The wet sand, I do think I would just sink because even my feet sink slightly when I'm just walking on the wet sand there. So if I threw on a pair of, hybrid rollerblades, I think I would definitely just be stuck in the sand pretty quickly. But maybe I'll give it a go. In the winter. The summer, there would have been way too many people. It would have been super, super embarrassing. The winter, I could find a time where I could sneak down onto the beach and there'd probably be no one there. And then maybe that's when I test them out again. I guess another sports wrap up before we get on to the NFL Week 1 previews and predictions. No football really to speak of. Obviously, it's the international break, so we've got some fairly meaningless friendlies coming up and some Nations League stuff that I find it very, very hard to get any real interest in or take seriously. I think footballers agree with me, but the only argument for these international breaks at this point is that it allows players to get a little bit of a rest with the amount of football that they play. I think that's the only reason why you can kind of justify. I think there's 3 international breaks before the end of November. That's the only reason you
I
can
know.
really.
And we actually talked about there was a conference I could possibly have attended in London and was very excited because I never usually get conferences at this time. And I thought, what an opportunity to go see Blackburn or something else, could knock off something on the bucket list. And of course, it's international break.
That reminds me, actually, for my nephew, for his Christmas present, I'm going to get him tickets to a Blackburn match and take him to a match. And lucky him, huh? But
Wow.
I know. But there's a reason why I'm.
Does he get to see Rovers? He gets to go to Blackburn.
No, we'll probably go to an away match. I'm not gonna deal with taking him. That's like 4 hours from where he lives, so I won't deal with that. We'll go to a fairly local sort of London-ish area, potentially Portsmouth, a Portsmouth away.
Okay.
That might be the target match, but it got me thinking because today was also my niece's birthday. So I wanted to get your thoughts. You don't have any siblings, but
2 years old.
Yeah, you have a fairly extended family. This obviously means I'm committed to buying birthday and Christmas presents for 4 people in my sister's family. For her 2 children, and her husband. So it's 8 presents a year I have to get for her family. Otherwise, I'm in trouble, right? Particularly as my niece is also my goddaughter. So there I have an additional responsibility to really make sure I'm delivering on the presents. Now, I think in return, she has to get me a significantly nicer present because I get 8 presents a year for her family. I think the
Your
2-year-old
nephew. Oh, your sister.
Yeah, no, not the children. I mean, just like their family gift to me, whether it's birthday or Christmas. Because I got to get 4 times as many presents. You don't think
No,
so?
that's not how it works. No, you could just also have children, and then they could get they could reciprocate the presents.
All right, to punish her, I'm gonna have 9 kids and just
there you go.
Them out, and all of them expect good presents every year, original presents.
I agree with in I don't know if it's in principle or theory. I don't know which one it would be, but I do agree that it is very unfortunate that like when you just put the money aspect at face value, you're going to be spending like 4 times as much at their family as you towards your family. Unfortunately, it's just the fact that your family is literally just you. It's not your fault that you're a lonely, miserable person.
But I also want to say this. I'm not expecting them to match. Like from a monetary value, I'm willing to take the loss on the fact that she doesn't need to spend 4 times as much on my individual present. I'm just saying, like, let's say I average out to buying presents. Let's say it's $50 on average for a present. she's got to go $100 average on my present. Like there's got to be that kind of balance where it's like, you know what? Christmas rolls around, you got to buy my family 4 presents. Admittedly, right now it's pretty lucky because 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, you can get pretty inexpensive gifts. Like you can spend $25 and get something that they like. But once those kids are both 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, I'm on the hook for some expensive gifts at some point, like there's no escaping at that. You can't find something that someone will like for under maybe even $100.
I mean, it's true. And it's interesting because I remember when we were young, especially me, as I got into those ages, the gift was literally always like a video game, because a video game would cost like $50. It was like the perfect gift. So every Christmas you would just get, like 5 or 6 new video games, and it was the perfect amount of gift. I would always be happy with something like that. But nowadays, that doesn't really exist as much, and they're way more expensive, So yeah, not as easy. Although I will say, Eddie, technically, according to your theory, I might have gotten gypped then my entire life, because while I'm an only child, everyone else in my family, like all of my parents' siblings, all have multiple children. So I should have been getting 2 or 3 times the biggest present, because my parents would have to have gotten presents for 4 children. Then I should get the equivalent of that back as 1 present.
Well, I know your dad listens to the podcast. Here's a chance for me to win some brownie points with your parents. I don't think you should have got shit. I think your parents should have got better presents from the rest of their family, because it was them spending the money. Like you weren't forking over money every Christmas to buy your cousins presents. They were having to buy like 19 cousins presents, and then the other families were saving a bit when they just had to deal with you. So I kind of agree with you, but it's your parents who should have been getting better presents.
Yeah, unfortunately, that didn't happen very much.
But yeah, I will never raise this issue with my actual sister because it would not go down well. So there's no way I would ever address this. But I was just thinking to myself when I was placing the order for the birthday present the other day, and I thought, this doesn't seem like I'm getting I'm getting the short end of the stick on this particular deal. And I do agree with you. It's not her fault that I haven't had children, but
no. Let me ask you this then. In terms of the Blackburn Rovers match present, does that include getting him a jersey or a t-shirt or something like that as well, like a hat, something so he can go there, actually supporting the club? And then in addition to that, does it involve the travel aspect? Like, you're gonna pick him up? You're going to drop them off? There's not going to be meet me at the stadium with your child, and then I'll take them?
Come back in 90 minutes? No, so...
Does he have a food allowance? Is he only allowed one beer and hot dog, and that's it?
Yeah. Those are all valid points. So I think the gift will be also to his dad, to take him, so it will be like a joint. It will be like a bundled Christmas present of I'm going to take you and your dad. Yeah, I think. Well, I kind of have to, right? Because I don't actually want to be solely responsible for my nephew for 9 hours. So it would have to be me taking both of them to the match, and as part of that, I do agree. I'd have to take the cost of, in the bare minimum, train fare. Like if we're going to Portsmouth, I'll get the tickets from London to Portsmouth, the return. Because otherwise it's a bit of a shitty gift. I hate when people always, and I've received gifts like this myself, where it's like, hey, here's your gift. And the cost of attending your gift is more than they've spent on your original gift. I'll call my sister out again. For my birthday, she gave me these,
land rollers.
Yeah, I wish.
No wheels.
She gave me these pictures. Not semi little sketches things.
You have to frame them.
Yeah, and the framing definitely cost way more than the original thing she gave me. Yeah. Undoubtedly. So it was
frames are insane.
So it's thanks for that.
Whoever's got the monopoly on frames, they've done a great job because
Yeah.
frames are insane.
Yeah, no, it's true. For what seems like a very, very basic piece of equipment, it's impossible to find a halfway decent frame for an
Yeah.
affordable amount of money.
It makes no sense because you can go, at least here in the States, you can go to like Michael's and I can buy a shittier plastic frame for like $5-10. But then if you want like one step up, it's like $180.
Yeah. No, you
It's
either
like,
go
what is the difference there?
you either go from complete garbage to something halfway decent. Speaking of gifts and stuff, though, I've got to say we have an interesting opportunity as a podcast. We've been approached to have a sponsor. This was a sponsor that reached out directly to us. I'm still trying to figure out how much of a scam this particular sponsorship opportunity is. This is from a company called Woofy Chewy, or Woof Chewy, sorry. They make dog sort of and cat pet
Love it
related
already.
stuff. They have 1 million followers on Instagram. So
Okay.
the scam possibility there was reduced slightly for me. As part of this reach out, they've offered us free pet gear, up to 7 items each that we can order from them. I have a code that you can use to order. And then the opportunity to run giveaways to our listeners, like to have 2 listeners a month receive free things, and then also some relatively uninteresting but still like some minimal financial incentives. So maybe we're about to be sponsored by Woof Chewy. The Big
Woof
Chill.
Chewy. It was a tough one to say.
The Big Chill podcast brought to you by Woof Chewy. But we'll see how that particular one goes. But if you're a listener and you have a pet and you're about to buy anything for your pet, just hold off because you might be about to get 50% off everything on the Woof Chewy website.
That's the discount code, 50%.
50% off, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's actually
That might be a scam.
Well, so I looked. The only thing that makes me think it might be a scam is, and this is what's tough, they're a US based company. And when they reached out, they did say, hey, you can place your order straight away. But if you're going to place your order, you do have to cover the cost of shipping. That's when I was like, ooh, is this how they get you? Now, I put I put 7 items in my checkout. And the cost of shipping, which was like FedEx or UPS, express delivery, was $40. So it's a little high.
That's high.
So they're definitely making some money back off you, I would say. But they're also not making so much money back off you that this could be a profitable venture, really. So it's
Now, is it just expensive because it's shipping to you?
I tell you what, after this podcast, I will give you the code and you can take a look and you can see if they charge you anything to ship to Arizona, which I think they shouldn't as a US based company. You should have the option of just like standard delivery for free. Then I think it's not. Again, they've got 1 million.
We'll see.
They got 1 million followers on Instagram.
Wolf Chewy. I already have, I already support Blue Chews. I don't know if I want to support another chew.
Yeah. Yeah. And the website looks pretty nice. Like there's a lot of reasons as I looked into it. I, immediately got the DM. I was like, this is bullshit. We get a lot of DMs like that. But no, who knows? We'll see.
So going back to the present, I mentioned you're probably gonna have to buy your nephew like a beer and a hot dog and stuff like that. There was some questions for clarification on I had actually a few friends who asked about this, the Premier League rules for drinking. Because I thought I had said it to them correctly, but then I started second guessing myself as to if I was correct or not. So what are the actual rules?
You cannot take a beer to your seat. So you're allowed like on the concourse where they're actually selling the beers. You can drink your beers there. You're sort of unlimited then pre-match in terms of how much you want to drink. They will not be open most of the time. I think during the match itself, they're not open. So you can't go and buy a beer usually and like stand there and drink it.
Except halftime.
But then at halftime it opens. So you have like a 15-minute period. And they're probably open a few minutes before halftime and a few minutes after. So you've probably got maybe like a 25-minute period where you can go and buy yourself a beer. But yeah, you cannot take that then to your seat. So you have to.
That's what I thought I remembered when we went last time when we saw Spurs, but I wasn't completely sure if it was still open like until halftime, like from the start of the match to halftime, or if it was actually closed during the start of the match.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that it's closed. Now, there's a possibility maybe some clubs keep it open. Like I don't know,
But
but
nonetheless, they all shut off at after half.
yeah, from every Premier League match I have ever been to. Now, I don't know, you might have some grounds where maybe there's like an accessible larger bar that stays open. Like at Spurs at their new stadium, for example. I don't know if that really huge, the
Oh,
longest bar
okay, yeah.
in the I don't know if that kind of stays open during the match and maybe you can get there during the match itself. Those kind of details I don't know. But yeah, for most football grounds you go to, the concession stand then will only be open during halftime.
Now, the other question that came up was, why can't you bring it back to your seat? Is it literally just because you're going to throw it onto the field?
No, it's more just to stop people drinking too much over the course of the match. So the idea
And to
being,
not throw shit on the pitch.
well, I don't think they're too worried because you could just get a Coke. You can take a Coke to your seat. Like they'll
But
take.
the guy who gets the Coke, well, the guy who gets the Coca-Cola isn't the one who's going to cause trouble.
Well, you say that. I mean, people throw all sorts of things, right? So you might just want something to throw. That's why they wouldn't, for example, give you the screw on top to your bottle, so that even if you do throw it, it's not quite as much of a weapon. But
Well, how do they do that now that the top is attached?
it's true.
The ear of the Americans.
I guess they probably pour it out, I suppose. Like give you a. It's true. I mean, from an environmental standpoint, it's a real killer. But um, no, it's just to stop you being able to kind of binge drink throughout the football match. That's what they're trying to stop you from doing.
Makes sense.
Yeah, kind of. You know, it's not. I don't find it to be a particular issue. Obviously, and it's not that uncommon. Like the Olympics, right, was completely alcohol free. We spoke about that. A lot of rugby matches here will have alcohol free beer. Rugby in England, you could drink at your seat all you want. There's not the same level of concern. But yeah, football, same with cricket, right? It's just football that has this kind of special status, obviously because of the hooliganism in the past.
Yeah. I mean, it will be interesting to see over the next 5 years what happens in American football, because the one thing you are seeing more and more are like these constant fight and brawl videos breaking out in the stadiums. And I wouldn't be surprised if those fucking idiots will eventually ruin it for everyone.
Yeah, no, and those fights are vicious too. Like
Yeah.
those are, you see some beatdowns and they're in like the nosebleeds of an NFL game late in the fourth quarter with nothing to play for, and then it's just like 9 people beating the shit out of each other with one guy usually mostly on the receiving end. I do agree with you.
The
I
most
think
recent one I saw, the guy got beat with a folding chair. Did you see that one?
oh, it's like John Cena taking him out.
Yes. No, I'm not even joking. The guy picked up the folding chair that's like in that back row next to like where they usually like to have the handicap available seats that, and then they have like those folding chairs next to it. The guy like picked it up and just started smashing the guy in the face with it.
Yeah, there are some bad ones. I think the thing, I guess teams and stadium owners and stuff will push back for as long as possible because that would just be such a hit to their revenue. So that would be the thing. But yeah, you do have to think that at a certain point, kind of having a culture that encourages people to just be like blitzed out of their minds to attend sporting events and in scenarios where they sit around rival fans. Like that's the one thing that still does save you a little bit in England, right? Is you have the home section and the away section. And
Yeah.
realistically, if you're sitting in the wrong section, you should just keep your mouth shut and not really say anything. And everyone knows that. Like I have no issue attending a match and being in a section for the opposition team, but I wouldn't wear team colors. I wouldn't celebrate if a goal is scored, all that stuff. But the idea that like in American sports, you can just be sitting in amongst the fans of a rival team, and then a couple people have had a bit too much to drink, you can understand how that could go badly pretty easily. And then you throw in the increasing popularity of betting on sports and the ease with which you can do that. So then you throw a drunk guy in who's maybe just lost a lot of money and you is being annoyed by someone either celebrating a win near them or like just celebrating something that's cost them money, like you can see how people can get angry a lot more easily.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, I guess, crime in the NFL, I think we maybe can transition to week one with a quite ironic statement I heard or saw a few days ago was the Eagles are traveling to Brazil for their match against the Packers on Friday. That game is. And Darius Slay is not a fan. On one of the podcasts, he said, can't wait, but man, I don't want to go to Brazil. They already told us not to leave the hotel. They told us we can't do too much because the crime rate is crazy. I'm like, NFL, why would you want to send us somewhere with a crime rate this high? And my answer would be to match the crime rate in the NFL. They're trying to put the NFL in an environment where it matches the crime rate.
Oh. I mean, it's true. Obviously, it's not the safest place. You're not supposed to like walk anywhere, right? You're supposed to Uber everywhere. But they played games in Mexico City, and there's equal concerns in lots of parts of Mexico City too. And look, there's cities in America where you wouldn't necessarily want to go wandering about late at night. So, yeah, I mean, I can kind of the Brazil market move. It does seem like a strange one to me. You've been able to explain, like, I can understand the attraction of Europe because of the money there. Brazil, it doesn't feel like there's that same financial opportunity. There's obviously very, very wealthy people in Brazil, but there's not the sort of same level of economic support to be thrown behind a new sport. So Brazil does feel like a stretch.
To increase the fan base a little. Like there is never a scenario where you have a club in South America.
No. I mean, it does just feel like a short-term cash grab or some idea that someone came up with that makes a little bit of a sense for a game or two. But everywhere else they've done it, like even Mexico, you could make sense that there's just a large Mexican, like because of some of the locations of the actual teams, you have Mexican fan bases. So if you send like some of the California teams there or, Arizona or whoever it is, it makes sense that there'll be locals there who have an affinity to those teams. Brazil, I don't know. I'm sure it will always be a sellout just because people will attend events when they come to town, but I can't see it suddenly developing into a big thing.
Yeah. And then the other aspect too that people are, well, I guess I shouldn't say not happy about, but there won't be any live tweeting from the game because Brazil has outlawed X. So, and I guess actually that's not the only complaint people have. It's also exclusively only on Peacock. So you have to have a subscription to Peacock to be able to watch that game.
Yeah, and I like the Friday night game. I love that. It's just a shame that they're
ruining high school football.
I guess. I don't know. I guess maybe if you live in either of those two local areas. I still feel like
they call the movie and the show Friday Night Lights for a reason.
No, they do, but I still feel like in the places where high school football's like you're not going to your kid's game because you're like, hold on a second, I got to stay in and watch Green Bay against the Eagles. Like, sorry, son. Okay, maybe next week. All right. On that note, should we move on to our week one predictions and previews? This year, I will keep a full running track of our picks against the spread. It's back. Starting from scratch. We're going to go for it. And so first up, we have the Baltimore Ravens
at the Chiefs.
Yeah, at the Kansas City Chiefs, with the current line being Chiefs -3. What's your preview and pick for that?
This is a rematch of the AFC Championship game. Many who thought Baltimore would win, including someone on this podcast. Perhaps one could say they lost the plot a little bit in that game. Definitely got away from running the ball and doing what was effective and tried to kind of outgun the Chiefs, and that did not work out so well. But they did finish the season last year, top running offense, and now have added Derrick Henry. And I think that combined with the fact that they saw how it went in the championship game when they tried to get away from the run and try and match the Chiefs. I think they're going to I think we're going to hear, Eddie, one of my most annoying comments, which is the Ravens are going to run the ball to slow down the clock to get Mahomes off the field. Because the less Mahomes is on the field, the less damage they can do, which is just the most asinine comment ever. But I think that's what they're going to try and do. And we saw last year, opening season, Chiefs played the Lions. Lions beat the Chiefs. Everyone, including you, were down on the Chiefs already after week one. They're not the same Chiefs. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a similar thing happen here. I think the Ravens have a lot more to prove in this game than the Chiefs. Kansas City knows now that they can win on the road in playoff games. They don't even need to get the number one seed anymore to win another Super Bowl. So I think at the end of the year, the Chiefs will be the better team, and I believe the Chiefs to make the Super Bowl, but I'm actually going to take the Ravens here to win and with the points.
Yeah, I think you raised a lot of good points there, and obviously alluded to the fact that I was a doubter last season. I will continue to be a doubter this season, and I will doubt the Chiefs in this game. I actually just feel like I think what you're right. Whenever they say like keeping Mahomes off the field, ultimately at some point he's got to get on the field. It's not like you can just maintain possession for an entire game. The only time where that ever makes sense is like at the end of a half, where you're like the Ravens get the ball back with 7 minutes left in the half, and they have the possibility of like running out the clock and kind of denying the Chiefs that end of half possession. Otherwise, I do agree with you. Like it doesn't change too much whether they each get the ball 5 times or each get the ball 10 times. It's like, unless you are, it makes a degree of sense sometimes in college where you have these teams that are just running like going for big plays constantly with a ton of 3 and outs. And so you feel like, well, hey, if we limit them to 5 possessions, chances are they fail 4 of them and we can win this game that way. But anyway.
But that's not the Chiefs anymore. They're not like a deep threat offense anymore. I mean, maybe they are. Maybe they will be this year. That's to be determined, obviously, with 2 new additions. Yeah. But the last few years, they have not been like a let's bomb it deep and get lucky team.
Agreed. And touching on that, obviously, Marquise Hollywood Brown is missing this game with a shoulder injury.
So, you get the full name. I like that.
so one of the new additions to this offense will be out. So that's a lot of pressure then on Kelsey and Worthy, the first round draft pick. And that's another reason for me. I feel like this Ravens team a little bit more settled. Yes, you have the addition of Henry, but it feels easier to like plug a superstar running back into your offense and have that up and running from week 1 than it is to have like a rookie wide receiver. And I didn't say Wookie that time. That was good. And like other pieces that are more complicated. And up next, we have that game that we alluded to in Brazil with the Packers technically at the Eagles, although on neutral field. And the Eagles are 2-point favorites.
So actually, before I get into this game, the comment I want to make is I feel the NFL is just getting later and later with the starts of these games. Like, I am so thankful I don't live on the East Coast, because these games are the scheduled kickoff is, I think, 8:20 for the Thursday night and 8:15 for the Friday, which we all know that means that those games are not kicking off till after 8:30. You have the potential that these games could go to 12:30, 1 a.m. on the East Coast. Why are you doing this? Like, why? Like, why? Just do 7:30. Like, you don't have to do this. And you can't say it's because all the people on the West Coast that are going to be screwed, because I can guarantee you on a Friday night, most people on the West Coast would be okay with having to watch a game at 4:30 in the afternoon. Like, that's not the end of the world. Like, I love it. I'm so excited to get home from work on Thursday and then instantly have football ready to go. Like, I just don't get it. This is so dumb that you want to start games that could potentially take 4 hours so late. That's my gripe with the NFL right now. That's gripe 1.
Building on that, in particular, as you are trying to like grow the game internationally, this obviously makes it virtually unwatchable for most people in Europe. Like, yes, you can be dedicated like me and also be able to function on relatively little sleep and still get by. But that's also because I have a certain flexibility in the work that I do. That means I don't have to be in an office at 8:30 in the morning on Friday, and I'm going to try and do that on 90 minutes sleep. So for the average person, you're also saying, hey, we're trying to grow the game in Europe. Let's make all of our primetime games completely unwatchable for the European market. That's the other reason. Whereas you're right, if you just bump this kickoff time was 2 hours earlier, ideally maybe 3 hours earlier, then it starts to be watchable. At least people go like, I'll catch the first half. I can watch the first quarter. I can get a little bit of the game. But yeah, I do agree with you. It's not the greatest timing for a kickoff.
Yeah. I mean, for me in this game, this is even because I don't really know what to expect from either of these teams right now. They both obviously had good seasons last year. The Packers probably a better season in terms of what they were expected, and the Eagles slightly worse than what they were expected. But I don't think the Eagles are as good as everyone thinks they are. We talked about this last year. I still think they're a pretty similar team, maybe slightly improved. And I think the Packers were slightly overrated last year. Having said that, Jordan Love did have a good final half of the season, and the Eagles secondary was atrocious last year. They did add two rookies for corners in Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, but rookie corners in the NFL, it's a big learning curve, so I don't expect them to come out of the gate flying hot. I don't love this pick. I'll take the Packers. This would actually, for me, almost be kind of like a prop bet game and just watch and enjoy than to really. I don't have a strong opinion on either one of these teams. I think either one could win or lose it for themselves, but I'll take the Packers.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Packers. I do think you're right. There's a few unknowns surrounding both of these teams, even though there's quite a bit of stability in terms of their playing squad coming into this season, certainly at most of the key positions. To me, it's down to how much do you believe in how good the Packers looked in the second half of the season versus, do they maintain that or do they get closer to what they looked like in the first half? And then the reverse is true, right, for the Eagles. How much do you believe that how bad they were in the second half of that season is the true version of the Eagles? Or are they going to start to get closer to what we saw? They were off to like what, a 10-1 start last season. Can they kind of match that over the beginning of this season too? This is an Eagles team that in the second half of last year, their defense was terrible, particularly in the second half of games as they tired. I mean, a lot of those games they blew like halftime leads and were also just giving up almost an ungodly amount of points. I think in the final 4 or 5 games of the season, right, they were average. The opposition were averaging something like 24 points a half in the second half of the season. So that would be against a Packers team that's pretty free scoring for the most part. That would be a little bit of a concern. So yeah, I'm gonna. It's obviously tough week one to be too opinionated about what you expect to see, but I'm going to trust that what we saw from the Packers in the second half of the season is who they are, and that what we saw from the Eagles in the second half of the season is closer to who they are as well. So I'll take the Packers to win and the Packers with the points. Up next, we get on to the Sunday slate of games, and we can kick things off with the second heaviest favorite of the week, which is the Buffalo Bills at home to the Arizona Cardinals, with the Bills 6.5-point favorites.
Yeah, that spread is tricky for a week one game where you just said like we don't fully know everything about these teams yet. Buffalo lost Diggs and Gabe Davis. But interesting fact that I saw, Diggs just averaged 42 yards per game over the second half of the season. So he wasn't really doing much for that team. If anything, he was probably bringing them down with his attitude in the locker room and on the sidelines, and only getting 42 yards a game. I'm going to have to go with my gut here. I think Arizona is improved. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. could be an absolute stud. When Kyler Murray is healthy, he looks good. I'll go as far as to say the word good. But I just think the Bills here, they're the Bills, man. And nothing will prove otherwise except if they really start falling apart here. at the start of this season. But I just think they're too good of a team, too consistent of a team, whereas the Cardinals are the complete opposite and are extremely inconsistent. So I'll go with the Bills with the points and to win.
Yeah, I think you have to trust the quality team coming into these week one matchups against one of the worst teams in the NFL. Definitely, they have the possibility, the Cardinals, of improving on offense with Marvin Harrison Jr. and Kyler Murray being healthy, at least for now. But you're still talking about a team that was 26th in the passing attack in the NFL last season. So even if they improve pretty significantly, they're still that's going to be probably average up against a.
And I'll say that's a good statistic. So I saw another one that said dead last in pass defense in EPA as well. So any metric you want to look at, they are bad against the pass.
Yeah, well, no, that's their offense. I'm talking about being 26th.
Oh. I thought you were talking about their defense.
No, their defense is bad and their offense is bad. But yeah, I know. I just think, yes, you've lost Diggs, but overall, it's Dalton Kincaid, who was pretty good last year at tight end. In his second year, you can expect him to become a kind of bigger part of that offense. And just, they look fairly well rounded, and we kind of know what they'll get. Allen will probably turn the ball over. It doesn't really matter because they're kind of built to survive the stupid turnovers that they produce. And yeah, I'll take the Bills to win and the Bills to cover the spread. I could easily
Yeah.
see this being a massive blowout, but you never know.
And actually, this would be a game where I would bet the over on whatever Josh Allen's passing yards are. I think this is like a we don't need Diggs and everyone else kind of will prove to you how good we are game. But we're also getting lucky that we're playing probably one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL. So it could be a skewed, like, look how good we are. But I wouldn't be surprised if Josh Allen goes for 350 in this game.
Well, if you think that, then you should definitely be pounding the over, Frank, because Josh Allen's over is 242.5.
Oh, that first half. Is that the first half?
Amazingly, Kyler Murray's is 228.5. So they're only expecting on that basis Josh Allen to be 14 yards better than Kyler Murray.
Oh, I love it.
Up next, we have the Houston Texans at the Indianapolis Colts. A pretty compelling game in a lot of ways. Obviously, the Texans coming off a really good season last year. The Colts had some injury issues, and you're starting to get a healthier version of them on the field this year. And the Texans are 3-point favorites.
Here's one of my 2 or 3 slightly irrelevant but interesting stats of the day. The Colts have not won a week 1 game since 2013 when Andrew Luck was still at quarterback. So they are in a 12-year week 1 drought. That ain't going to change this year. I am surprised the spread is not higher. I don't see what everyone else sees in the Colts. I get Anthony Richardson is an X factor, but with being an X factor, he's also I'll call a Y factor with I don't know why he did what the fuck he just did on that play. Some plays he looks amazing. Some plays he's still going to throw that shitty interception. So I don't see that with Stroud. We talked about it last episode. Stroud's touchdown to interception ratio was through the roof last year. It's only going to get better. I am heavy here on the Texans with the points and the Texans to just kind of blow them out here.
Yeah, I can see some of the optimism surrounding the Colts, given the fact that, Richardson, if you have any optimism for what he'll look like, is obviously an improvement at the quarterback position. And even without him, they still finished 10th in the league in scoring last year and 14th in the league, 15th in the league, in total yards per game. So their offense was still good, even with, a kind of make peace approach at quarterback. And you have Jonathan Taylor in his probably healthiest version. So I can understand the optimism. However, this feels like a really, really bad matchup. The Colts had one of the worst secondaries in the league last year, and they've made absolutely no changes to their secondary coming into this year. So there's no reason to expect that their secondary will be any better this year than it was last year. In their Week 18 matchup last year, Collins went for 195 yards against the Colts. So you can still look at um, a Texans team that this feels like just a really, really good matchup for them. So I'll agree with you. I do think the Colts will be decent this year, but I'll take the Texans to win and the Texans to cover.
Yeah, and going off of that, so the Texans were 2-0 against the Colts. Stroud, 4 TDs, no interceptions, and 8.8 yards per attempt. So
up next, we have the heaviest favorite of the week. And this is the New England Patriots at the Cincinnati Bengals, with the Bengals 8-point favorites.
I'll keep this simple. The Patriots could be the worst team in the NFL. Maybe I'm slightly biased because I listen to your nemesis, and he's loves to right now be playing the like my team's the worst, so I won't care this year card, which is really annoying. If you're a fan, you're always still going to care no matter how bad your team is. And if you can dissociate that well, then you're not a true fan or supporter of your club, I think. But they are trash this year. Jacoby Brissett, I think he kind of gets a bad rap, but I don't think he's the answer. The Bengals have issues. They have injury issues. They have Jamar Chase sitting issues, but their offensive line was better last year. Joe Burrow, I think, will pick apart the Patriots. I'll pick Burrow and the Patriots here. Burrow and the Bengals here.
Yeah, I'll be quick with you there on that one. Just it feels like even without all of their pieces, the Bengals will just be way too good for this Patriots team, and the Patriots may well be the worst team in the NFL this season. So yeah, I'll take the Bengals to win and the Bengals to cover. Up next, we have, there are some candidates for games I don't want to see a second of this in week one. This one definitely was on the short list. Unfortunately, It didn't quite make it. But we have the Steelers at the Falcons, and the Falcons are 3-point favorites.
All right. Well, here is my number 2 random stat. I dug deep and found this one. This is the first time in NFL history that 2 quarterbacks with at least 12 years of experience are playing each other in a debut game for a new team. That's niche. As specific as you can get. Both drafted in 2012. Kirk Cousins and Russell Wilson. So same draft class. I think one still has potential, and I think one is quickly crashing with his Subway sandwich into the 6th circle of hell with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I'm definitely going to take Cousins here. I'll take the Falcons. I don't think the Falcons are that great. I picked them to win their division, but I think their division is really poor. But I am not in on the Steelers. And there are actually a lot of people who are in on the Steelers, and I don't see it. I don't get it. So
we know. You didn't need to say that, Frank. We know you don't get it.
I know, but I don't understand where they think this improvement from last year's team is coming. And I actually have what I think, Eddie, is my most supportive stat about the Steelers is there are sites that have rankings for everything now, right? Like you can rank anything. So there is a site, an NFL-based site that does luck rankings. And who do you think finished first in the NFL in the luck ranking? That is the Pittsburgh Steelers last year. Were the luckiest team in the NFL. And that is not going to happen year to year. So I expect a rough year.
That's the thing about luck. It's unpredictable. You might have it years in a row. Look, I think both of these teams should expect to be slightly better this season. I do think Wilson, even though neither of us are big Wilson fans, he does represent an improvement at the quarterback position. Undoubtedly for the Falcons, Kirk Cousins, even at his relatively advanced age and even coming off the back of an Achilles injury, should still be an improvement over Desmond Ridder. For context, Kirk Cousins threw 18 touchdown passes for the Vikings last year in 8 games. Desmond Ridder The Falcons quarterbacks as a whole only threw 17 touchdown passes last year over the course of the entire season. So you would expect an improved output from Cousins. Along a similar note, actually, a statistic not NFL related, but trying to be a little less specific than the stats you provided. One that I saw this week on the back of his hat trick. I'll throw it in now. Last week against for Erling Haaland. Erling Haaland, since he arrived in the Premier League, has only scored 6 fewer goals than Everton as an entire team. I'll just put that out there really quickly.
I saw that. I don't know where that fits in with the Falcons and Steelers, but
well, it was comparing, Kirk Cousins to the Falcons' quarterback outputs last season. So I just see that as an opportunity to bring it in. But I think this is a good Steelers defense. Like, there's no doubting the fact that they're good. I don't see any reason why the defense would be any worse. There's an element of luck there when you look at the turnover differential, which you touched on. But yeah, I actually think I want to see what the version of the Falcons looks like with Kirk Cousins. I have more doubts over Kirk Cousins off the back of an Achilles injury than I do Russell Wilson in this Steelers offense. So I will take the Steelers to win this one and the Steelers with the points. Up next, we have the Jags at the Dolphins, and the Dolphins are 3.5-point favorites.
Yeah, so I'm going to take the Dolphins here to cover and obviously to win straight up. I have two, I think, pretty nice statistics that are going to sway you here, Eddie. So number one is, since McDaniels took over, the Dolphins are 6-0 in the first 3 weeks of the season in those last two seasons, outscoring their opponents by an average of 13 points in those games. Now, obviously, that is a low enough statistic that maybe they were just playing bad teams to start the season. That could definitely be happening. But when you look back, not all those games are bad games, and some of those wins were actually nice wins against playoff teams. So I think they are definitely a team that starts off hot, especially with the weather helping them a little bit. It's in South Miami. They do have some injuries. I think Waddle's on the injury list, and I think Jalen Ramsey is, so could be an issue, but I don't think it's going to be that much of an issue. And then the other stat I'll give you here, we're really digging deep on these stats. They're going to be playing, or it's going to be televised on CBS. And the announcers for this particular CBS game will be Kevin Harlan, Trent Green, and Melanie Collins. McDaniels has never lost when those three are announcing games. Eddie, listen, he's 7-0. 7-0 with 38 points per game when those three announcers are announcing the game. That is not like a 2-0 statistic. He's 7-0. He loves to show off in front of Melanie Collins. He can't help himself.
I guess so. Yeah, we can count on you bringing the statistics that matter for this NFL season. I just think, I was pretty high on the Dolphins, obviously, in our season preview. I don't think the Jags I think the Jags will be pretty decent this season as well, but I really think the Dolphins will be good. You have everything going for them here in terms of health, in terms of perfect weather conditions for the way their team plays, and just so explosive in terms of the weapons that are around Tua. So yeah, I'll take the Dolphins to win and the Dolphins to cover. I think it's happened. I think I'm going to have to give this one.
Oh, screw you.
The Vikings at the Giants, with the Vikings 1.5-point favorites.
Do you want to go first?
No, I'll let you go first on the Giants game.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't play that noise because I will be watching that entire game. Sam Darnold versus Daniel Jones, the matchup every person wants to watch. The matchup that every father wants their son to watch to emulate these two blockbuster quarterbacks. I don't have much to back my support in the Giants in this game, except that I don't think the Giants have many winnable games this season. I think this is one of them. I don't think the Vikings were looking at Sam Darnold as being their starting quarterback. I know you love Sam Darnold. You thought he was a Pro Bowler and an All-Pro when he played for the Niners as a backup. But I don't see it. He makes some nice throws, but he also throws a ton of interceptions. And I think Daniel Jones is going to come in hot. I think he's got a lot of fucking people that want his head, and he needs to prove himself a little here. So I wouldn't be surprised if he plays well. My only concern, this is a pretty good stat I found, if I can actually find it anymore. He's known for scrambling. Obviously, I think that's one of his biggest assets. He had 708 rushing yards in 2022. He only scrambled once the entire preseason. So whether that's just because he's saving it or because his knee isn't fully healthy, that's a big concern there. And a little bit of a worry, but I'll take the Giants here.
Well, I wasn't sure which way to go on this particular game, and then I found out that both Aaron Andrews and Tom Rinaldi will be part of the announcing crews for this game, and that the Vikings have never lost a game when they've been announcers.
See, this is the issue, though. My is a real stat. 7-0. 7-0 is a real stat.
I don't even know who the announcers are for this game. I quickly Googled it, and I could not find them. So there's that issue.
It's not being televised.
Oh, no, it's a blackout everywhere just to save people the pain. This is a really tough one to call, I will say. I put this in the no-watching category. There's not really any no-watching in week one because you don't know what any of these teams are. I'm just going to trust that the Vikings... I don't think Sam Darnold is that big of a drop-off from Kirk Cousins. And so because of that, I still think this Vikings offense could be pretty hard to handle with the likes of Justin Jefferson around him. And so I'll pick the Vikings to win and to cover.
Why do you love Sam Darnold so much? Where is this coming from? Did you see him in a bar once and he bought you a beer?
Yeah.
Like, what is it? I don't get it.
He gave me a really good birthday present once. And he even said to me, he said, look, I know you don't have any kids, so I got to get you a nicer birthday present to offset that. So he's just a stand-up guy, and I'm going to pick him every game this season. Up next, the Titans against the Bears, two teams that in this offseason, I guess probably arguably have undergone some of the biggest changes in terms of what we saw from them last year. So it's a matchup where you have basically no form to go on in terms of what to expect from each of them. But the Bears are 4-point favorites.
All right. Got a few more stats for you on this one, Eddie. I'm coming in hot with stats for week one. Since 2003, 15 quarterbacks taken with the top pick. What do you think their record is in the debut game?
Oh, I would say it's not good. So 15 of them. That's where I'll say they're
15.
10-5.
0, 14-1.
Wow. That is a good stat.
Yeah. So not looking good.
No, that tells me
QB. However,
that tells me they're due.
However, they are due. And he is due. He with a capital H. So this is the first QB ever to come into be the number one QB drafted and come into a team that has two receivers over 1,000 yards. So a very different situation that he's getting, he being Caleb Williams, compared to many other first picks in the NFL. And we talked about it before. No Bears QB has ever thrown for 4,000 yards, which is still insanely surprising to me, considered 10 QBs just did it last year alone. The Bears were much improved the second half of the season on defense once they got Montez Sweat. I expect that to stay the same. I don't think the Titans are very good. Drop off at quarterback, huge drop off at head coach. I don't think Will Levis is going to be the answer this year. So I'm going to take that streak to end, and I'm going to take Caleb Williams to win this game.
Yeah, I mean, and also a huge drop off at running back too, right? I mean, Derrick Henry.
I forgot about running back.
Has carried that team for years, and it's one of those things you always were scared going into some Titans games that the risk you had was that Derrick Henry could just go for 200 yards, break off huge plays at any moment in time, and no matter how good the run game they're able to put together, it's still going to be missing that type of major threat. I do agree. I think this is a nice matchup to start things off. It's a pretty bad secondary for the Titans, at least on the basis of last season. He's up against a rookie head coach, a rookie defensive coordinator. So and some inexperienced players at key positions for the Titans. And he doesn't have to do it all himself on the basis that the Bears also had the best run game in the NFL last year. So they can ease him into this game if they need to. And yeah, on that basis, I will take the Bears to win and the Bears to cover. Up next, we have the Panthers at the Saints. I have to say this was the game that got closest to taking
This
the
is way worse.
It possibly is. There was part of the humor element of giving the Giants the horn, but this is probably
is way. Name one person or thing you want to watch in this game.
For a second, I thought you were going to say, like, name one player on the Carolina Panthers. But I guess the argument for this game would be from, like, a divisional standpoint. There's a lot up for grabs. Like the Panthers could be awful, but still compete for their division. So, how many wins do they need? Like, the Giants are not making the playoffs. And we know the Vikings are not making the playoffs. Whereas we could see either of these two teams in the playoffs without them being particularly spectacular.
Yeah, but at least with the Giants, you can say it will be interesting to watch Daniel Jones in like literally a make or break season, coming off a torn ACL. Can he come out of the gate hot? And Malik Neighbors, potentially offensive rookie of the year, electric, fun to watch. Here, what are you going to say? I get to watch Bryce Young get the shit beat out of him again. Will Bryce Young survive the season? Maybe. Maybe that's the watching point.
Maybe, yeah. Well, that would probably get me to tune in if that were really the stakes were that high. But no, look, you're right. But I do think the saving grace of this is that potentially these teams could kind of put themselves in playoff contention. That being said, it's bad enough that I don't want to dedicate too much time to it. I think the Panthers could be spectacularly awful. I'll back that the Saints at home, typically they do have, a pretty good offense overall. I think that they'll just be too much for the Panthers. I'll take the Saints to win and the Saints to cover.
Yeah, I'll do the same. I mentioned the Steelers had the best luck in the NFL last year. The Panthers actually ranked 31st in luck. So maybe it was all just bad luck. That's why they did so shitty. I mean, give them the Steelers luck and maybe they're 10-7, just like the Steelers were, or whatever shitty record the Steelers somehow got. I'm with you, though. I can trust Carr more than I can trust Bryce Young. I don't think Deontay Johnson adding to that Panthers wide receiver core is going to make the difference here. Although I don't feel great about the Saints either, but yeah, I guess I'll take the Saints. This is a definite stay away game. There's not even a prop bet here I would take.
Well, there you go. Then we move on to the afternoon slate of games on Sunday, and the first one we'll go for is the Chargers at the Raiders, and the Chargers are 3.5-point favorites.
Yeah, this is the Jim Harbaugh era. How excited are you, Eddie? You're a huge Harbaugh fan.
I mean, I certainly was when he was in with the 49ers, although like everyone at the time, I think I wore thin on him as that era went on. But it will be interesting. He's a big personality, and he kind of brings something to every game, even if you like that. He is the most compelling reason to watch this game, for example. And there's not a lot of times where you can say the head coach is the reason I'm going to tune in. So yeah, I'm excited to look forward to it. And on that basis, I mean, I'll be pretty quick. You would expect the Chargers to have improved under Harbaugh, and certainly to, kind of lean heavy on that run game, to do the fundamentals right, which is something that the Chargers really haven't done over the last few years, to have relatively sensible decisions being made from the head coach in terms of play calling, timeout usage, challenges, all things that the Chargers have got horribly wrong for the last couple of seasons. So, and I don't think the Raiders are particularly good. So I will take the Chargers to win and the Chargers to cover.
Yeah, I mean, nothing personal against Brandon Staley, but thank fucking God I don't have to come onto this podcast and talk about how much of a terrible head coach he is and decision maker he is, because that was just getting old after a while. You mentioned Harbaugh likes to run the ball. The Niners ranked, when he was the coach from 2011 to 2014, the 49ers ranked 31st in passing plays per game. So I don't think Herbert will mind that. He's taken enough hits, I think, to say I'll take 25, 30 attempts a game and get some quality throws in and not get my ass handed to me. Actually, I think here, Eddie, the one of the big reasons to watch, although not exciting, I think will be interesting, is Joe Alt, who was the 5th overall pick from Notre Dame, who you loved how excited he was when he got drafted. I know you very much remember him sitting down and barely cracking a smile during that draft process. He's facing Max Crosby to start his career, so that will be a very interesting matchup to see. We talked last podcast, it usually takes O tackles a year to really get into the groove, so we'll see how Joe Alt does there. But I expect a heavy dose of running by both teams. I expect this to maybe hit the under. Don't expect Herbert to go for 350 here, but I'll take the Chargers to win this as well.
Yeah. And up next, we have the Seahawks at the Broncos. And the Seahawks are 4.5-point favorites.
I'll keep this one short. I don't think the Broncos are good. I'm not super high on the Seahawks, but I think, new coach who is the D coordinator at the Ravens will keep that defense solid and improve from last year. They kind of fell off a little bit last year. And I just think Geno Smith is a better choice at quarterback compared to, I think, will be Bo Nix, right? So
yeah,
I'll take the Seahawks here.
Yeah, I'm also going to take the Seahawks to win and to cover. The Seahawks are just one of those teams that have consistently been good over the last couple seasons, even with all the turmoil that went on through with the kind of would Pete Carroll leave or not. But they did a good job always of beating bad teams. That's been consistent with them. And Geno Smith puts in good performances against bad teams. They actually have a decent set of kind of offensive weapons around him. Their defense is pretty solid. Bo Nix, a lot of people have been impressed by him in preseason, but he's fairly predictable. He, looking at one stat that I came across from his college career, he ranked highest among power conference quarterbacks when it came from passes of 0 or fewer yards in the air. So, i.e., sort of lateral passes as part of his approach to the game. That's you've then seen Sean Payton using a lot of play action in preseason, and I think because of that, this Denver team is going to be highly, highly predictable. Play action stops working after a while when you just know that play action is likely to be coming. So, yeah, I think that the Seahawks are just too good for them for the most part, and will win this game fairly comfortably. Then we have the Buccaneers at the Commanders, and the Buccaneers are 4-point favorites.
Yeah, I'll keep this one kind of short as well. I think the Bucs definitely overachieved last year. I saw some stats that, again, they were one of the luckier teams in the NFL in terms of, fumble luck, field goal luck, injuries, that kind of thing. I saw another stat that on first and second down, Mayfield and the Bucs were ranked in the bottom 5 in offensive categories, but then somehow on third and fourth down, they jumped up to a top 5. And that just doesn't happen season to season. I think you kind of come back to normal. So I'm not really high on the Bucs. I'm not super high on the Commanders, but I think it could be a rough season for the Bucs. And I think this, again, could be one of those things where Jaden Daniels wants to come out and really show what he's about. And I think he's got a very good opportunity here against a not so great team to do so. I'll take the Commanders. You said it's 3.5. Is that what you have?
4.
I'll take the Commanders with the points. Toss up straight up. I guess I'll just take the Commanders straight up as well. But I would probably not bet that, but I'll be tempted by Commanders +4, or definitely if you tease this to Commanders +10. I think that's pretty safe.
Yeah, for me, I just feel worried about the Commanders. They have a really bad offensive line and a rookie quarterback. And so for that reason, I'll feel pretty comfortable taking a lot of teams against them early in the season, including the Jags. What's the Jags? The Bucs. So I'll take the Bucs to win and the Bucs to cover.
My stat here wasn't so great, so I didn't say it, but I'll actually say it anyway, just because I know you love Mayfield, and I love to just rub in how much Mayfield is slightly overrated. He's 14-26 against the spread as a favorite. That's the third worst quarterback since 2018 as a favorite.
Well, he'll be slightly improving that statistic this weekend, I think. Up next, definitely the best game of the late set, the afternoon set of fixtures. That's the Browns at the Cowboys, with the Cowboys 1.5-point favorites. I'll be fairly quick on this. These are two very good teams, so it's hard to be too opinionated on this game coming into it because you really could see it going either way at any time this season. For the Browns, obviously, you got to see what their offense looks like now, as opposed to, the kind of Flacco era at the end of the season. But I'm very high on the Cowboys home team. I'm actually surprised that this is only 1.5 points. But
they're underdogs.
No, the Cowboys are 1.5-point favorites for me in the current.
Oh, on my stuff right now, I just looked at it. The Cowboys are +2.
Oh, well, we'll have to.
So I don't know if something's just randomly changed, but on both my betting sites, the Cowboys are 2-point underdogs.
Well, which line would you
refresh? Crunch the numbers again.
Oh, should I handicap the games myself this year? I still have the Cowboys as 1.5-point favorites. Admittedly, that's with them being 6-5 at -1.5. So you are getting like a nice, normally you would be expecting that to be like 10-11. Let's split the difference then. Let's take this as a pick 'em. We'll simplify it and see what happens then. Obviously that causes me a slight concern because I was about to pick the Cowboys. So have I missed out on some big injury news that is going to change the way I see this game going? But I'll just.
That's what I thought. I literally thought like Dak Prescott got ruled out or something.
I think that would be, if Dak Prescott getting ruled out is only worth like 2 points, that would be a big concern for the Cowboys. But I'll just expect them to keep that run going against this Browns team. Although the Browns could end up being extremely good this season if everything at quarterback works for them. But yeah, I'll take the Cowboys.
Yeah. On BetMGM, the Cowboys are now 2.5-point underdogs. Something is happening.
All right, I'm going to switch my pick then. I'm just going to play it safe just for the sake of my pick and say that something bad has happened in Dallas, and I will take the Browns then to win this game.
I don't know what's happening. I don't know what someone knows that we don't. That kind of reminded me of the Texans game. Like, how are the Texans at the time were 2.5-point favorites? It's now 3, but like they're playing the Colts at Houston, right? So like that was a little weird to me, but this one is way stranger. 2.5-point underdogs, the Cowboys at home. I'll asterisk this. If there is some major injury that we're not knowing about, then we can remove this from the rankings, but I will take the Cowboys here. I agree with you. My concern is they lost, Tyron Smith on their O-line. That's a big loss for them. But, Myles Garrett obviously is an issue. But so is Micah Parsons. He's an issue on the other side. So I think that's going to be just as scary for Deshaun Watson, who hasn't looked the same since 2020 about. So I'll take the Cowboys to win here. And I'll take the Cowboys with 2.5 points. Love it.
I'm trying to do a quick Twitter search to see if anything's coming up, and it also doesn't seem as if.
No, I look too. I don't think it's anything, because when I saw that, because I was putting my bets in this morning before we recorded, and I saw this and I was like, that cannot be right, and that it is.
Well, there you go. Well, Cowboys. I guess people really like the Browns.
And actually, I have a fact-finding mission for you, Eddie. I want you to once and for all figure out why the NFL still has to do these 405 and 425 games, and why they all can't just be 425 games. Why there has to be games starting while the 1:00 games are finished.
I think that's, yeah.
No, I don't want to think. I don't want thinking. I want you to come on week 2 and say, I have found the answer. This is the exact contractual reason.
It sounds like my performance reviews at work. But...
Yes. I'm tired of you thinking. I don't pay you to think, Eddie. I pay you to find answers.
Up next, we have Sunday Night Football kicking off at 8:20 local time. Well, not local time because it's in LA. So 5:20 local time. It's the Lions at the Rams, and the Lions are 3-point favorites.
So this is a tough one for me because I have the Lions going far this year, and I think they're very good. I think they haven't dropped off at all from last year, but I actually really like the Rams too this year. They looked good towards the second half of that season last year, and they're a good team. And Matthew Stafford going back to Detroit for the second time. He just lost last time in the playoffs. Is he finally going to get a win there? I don't think so. I'm going to go with the Lions. I just think at home, Lions, they're going to be dialed in here. I think they think their Super Bowl season. But the stat I'll give you here is Cooper Kupp, Nakua, and Williams, when they were on the field together with Stafford, 6-2 last year. Stafford was 18 touchdowns to 3 interceptions when all three were on the field. And that looks like that will be likely this year with Kupp coming back from an injury. So they are definitely a much improved team when all three of their playmakers are out there. But I just think the Lions are too good on both sides of the ball here. I'll take the Lions. A good game. This is a great game for the Sunday night.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting too for a Sunday night game because you have a few unknowns surrounding both teams. I think that makes it a little bit more compelling. Like you need to watch. I feel like I need to watch this game more than I need to watch the Chiefs against the Ravens, for example. But yeah, I agree with you. I just think when you stack things up both sides of the ball, the Lions have the advantage, and they've seemingly made their defense even better this year with the the incomings they've had. So yeah, I'll take the Lions to win and the Lions to cover. And then we wrap things up with Sunday Night Football, which is the Niners at the Jets, and the Niners are 6.5-point favorites.
Yeah, so the interesting stat here I have, not so much a stat, but just a slight coincidence. I mean, everyone is well aware Aaron Rodgers tore his Achilles. It was also on week 1. It was also on Monday night. It was also, obviously, at the same time, 8:20. And it was by Buffalo's Leonard Floyd, who is now on the San Francisco 49ers. So he is playing the same guy at the same time in the same day in the same week that ended his career. And my bet is history will repeat itself.
Well, I don't think it ended.
Achilles.
It didn't end his career because he's still going, but yeah, ended his season.
I have torn Achilles first quarter. That's 65-1. So that's what I'm going with. That's my prop bet here. I am not super high on the Jets. I want to see Rodgers be at the level he was again 3 years ago before I start really putting money on the Jets here. I'll take the Niners. I think they're good offense. I think this whole is Brock Purdy kind of regress thing because they watched one preseason game where he literally did not have Trent Williams, Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, or Brandon Ayuk or George Kittle on the field is fucking insane. So I think the Niners will win here.
Yeah, I mean, unsurprisingly, obviously, I have the 49ers winning this. The spread, the 6.5 points, is a little bit close. Like that's a tough one for me. That feels right on the close to the number. You would have wanted it a little bit lower to feel super confident about the Niners covering. I will take.
I don't know where you're getting your odds from. I've got 4.
All right, we'll go 4 then. The number listed on my website has 6.5. But okay, we'll say 4.
You got to get a new bookie.
Really, I'm being screwed on a weekly basis. Guys shaving points off of both sides. I will take. Okay, we'll go 4 as the official number then. Which is a number I like then a lot more for the Niners. I'll take the Niners to cover.
Yeah,
it feels like these are two good teams, but still, it's a kind of a nice matchup in the sense that what the Jets do really, really well, the Niners, kind of do well on the other side. So like this is a very good Jets defense, but I feel confident that the Niners will find ways to move the ball. Any concerns for the Niners have been slightly eased by them resolving the Trent Williams contract situation. So presumably you'll have Trent Williams starting in this game, but also just for the season going forward, it means they don't have any uncertainty at the left tackle position. So yeah, I'll pick the Niners to win, Niners to cover.
No, Eddie, the Niners are 4-point underdogs.
I wish. Then I would be putting everything on them.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, overall, I think a very good slate of games. The nice part is all of the like single game days are all really good. Thursday, Friday, Sunday night, and Monday, all very, very good games. I was gonna watch regardless, but at least it gives some more incentive to watch potential playoff teams. So that's nice. The afternoon slate on Sunday is kind of disappointing. That's going to be one of those ones where it'll be on, but I won't be glued to Red Zone. Maybe I'll do some chores, some house activities, because I'm not very interested in a lot of those games. But again, week 1 of football, just exciting that it's back. Definitely will spend way too much time this week and probably lose way too much money just being excited that the NFL season is back.
Something to look forward to then. Sounds wonderful. All right. Well, on that note, should we wrap things up?
Yeah, we can wrap it up, and then we'll have a nice little week 1 recap in the next podcast.
Sounds good.
All right. Talk to you later.
See ya.
See ya.